We're in day 52. That's nice, right? Day 52. And we're going into, what is that, like 6 days away from our little mini goal of 58? I can't believe we passed 50 on the steady. Like, I just want to celebrate that, y'all. Yesterday was a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous full moon that kept shining through cloud cover. It was just something so beautiful about it. And that made me just like go through a little praise break. I, want to shout out to all my people out there who are going through what they're going through, May God give you strength to battle on, and may He give you the courage to face your situations head on, staying strong, staying firm, and keep it moving. Because things will really, really be out here trying to sweep you off your feet. Like, really be coming for you. Today we finished Numbers, which is awesome. Like, we finished our 4th book, and then we go into Deuteronomy tomorrow, and Numbers 35 through 36, and then Psalms 52. We're going to read through that today, and then that should be all for Numbers. Like, woo-woo. There's a devotional video. It's again the Bible Project. It was linked to the plan, so I put it in. I haven't been putting in devotional videos that weren't linked to the plan this time, and I wanted to see how I like that, or at least play around with that. Just only giving you devotionals when they show up. Y'all let me know how y'all like that. I didn't really have a preference either way, so if you prefer that I'm sending you more insight videos when I see them, when I watch them, or when I feel like it, or if you just want me to stick to adding material when the plan is there, I don't want to overwhelm y'all in these. And I know the readings sometimes go like they can be, and I always window an hour and 30 minutes because I don't know what's gonna happen there. So these readings can be Bible length, movie length sometimes, but is it like the Bible is thick? Like, so just keep me posted if there's any like formats or any like formats in terms of links, in terms of information, any insight that you want. Just keep me informed so I know, like, this is my journey and I'm taking y'all along with me. I also want y'all to be comfortable though, so yeah. We're gonna hop in. The start of Numbers, I believe here yesterday they were dividing up lands, so we're gonna pick up from that area. The devotional says that today we are scheduled to complete the book of Numbers. Watch this video to review its literary design and flow of thought, so you can kind of understand. See, I like learning the literary design and flow of thought beforehand, but I guess also like reviewing it helps you go like, oh yeah, it was set up that way. But I like learning that stuff at the top of the book that we're going into, not at the end. Numbers 35. Towns for the Levites. When Israel was camped beside the Jordan on the plains of Moab, across from Jericho, the Lord said to Moses, "Command the people of Israel to give the Levites from their property certain towns to live in along with their surrounding pasture lands. These towns will be for the Levites to live in, and the surrounding lands will provide the pastures for their cattle, flocks, and other livestock. The pasture land assigned to the Levites around these towns will extend 150 feet from the town walls in every direction, measure off 3,000 feet outside the town walls in every direction." East, south, west, and north, with the town at the center. This area will serve as a larger pasture land for the towns. Six of the towns you give the Levites will be cities of refuge, where a person who has accidentally killed someone can flee for safety. Okay. In addition, give them 42 other towns. In all, 48 towns with the surrounding pasture lands will be given. In all, 48 lands with the surrounding pasture land will be given to the Levites. These towns will come from the property of the people of Israel. The larger tribes will give more towns to the Levites, while the smaller tribes will give fewer. Each tribe will give property in proportion to its size and in proportion to the size of its land. So God's always about like fairness. Eat in proportion, you know. Give land in proportion. Like, you're a small tribe, you don't need the same amount of land that a big tribe needs. It's not about wants or blow ups. It's about sustenance. Like, I'm trying to sustain a people fairly, and your tribe's just not as big as a large tribe, or a large tribe's just not. It can't sustain on a smaller tribe space, you know? So give everything in proportion. And now it's saying when you're giving to the Levites the towns that they are being granted, and the pasture lands that they are being granted, each tribe has to participate in the handing over of their towns, but you give these towns in proportion, which is only fair because if your land's bigger, you got more towns. Like, you got more towns, you got more space, which means you can give more freely. Cities of refuge. And the Lord said to Moses, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. When you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, designate cities of refuge to which people can flee if they have killed someone accidentally. These cities will be places of protection from a dead person's relatives who want to avenge the death. The slayer must not be put to death before being tried by the community. Designate 6 cities of refuge for yourselves, 3 on the east side of the Jordan and 3 on the west in the land of Canaan. These cities are for protection of Israelites, foreigners living among you, and traveling merchants. Anyone who accidentally kills someone may flee there for safety. But if someone strikes and kills another person with a piece of iron, it is murder, and the murderer must be executed. Or if someone with a stone in his hand strikes and kills another person, it is murder, and the murderer must be put to death. Or if someone strikes and kills another person with a wooden object, it is murder, and the murderer must be put to death. The victim's nearest relative is responsible for putting the murderer to death. When they meet, the avenger must put the murderer to death. So the victim's nearest relative is responsible for getting the death of the murderer, for avenging. And the avenger must put the murderer to death. So if someone hates another person and waits in ambush, then pushes him or throws something at him and he dies, it is murder. So if someone hates another person and waits in ambush, okay. Or if someone hates another person and hits him with a fist and he dies, it is murder. In such cases, the avenger must put the murderer to death when they meet. But suppose someone pushes another person without having shown previous hostility, or throws something that unintentionally hits another person, or accidentally drops a huge stone or something, though they were not enemies, and that person dies. If this should happen, the community must follow these regulations in making a judgment between the slayer and the avenger, the victim's nearest relative. The community must protect the slayer from the avenger and must escort the slayer back to live in the city of refuge to which he fled. The community must protect the slayer from the avenger and must escort the slayer back to live in the city of refuge to which he fled. There he must remain until the death of the high priest, who was anointed with sacred oil. Until the death of the high priest, who was anointed with sacred oil? If the slayer ever leaves the limits of the city of refuge, and the avenger finds him outside the city and kills him, it will not be considered murder. The slayer should have stayed inside the city of refuge until the death of the high priest, but after the death of the high priest, the slayer may return to his own property. These are legal requirements for you to observe from generation to generation, wherever you may live. All murderers must be put to death, but only if evidence is presented by more than one witness. No one may be put to death on the testimony of only one witness. Also, you must never accept a ransom payment for the life of someone judged guilty of murder and subject to execution. Murderers must always be put to death. And never accept a ransom payment for someone who has fled to a city of refuge, allowing a slayer to return to his property before the death of the high priest. This will ensure that the land where you live will not be polluted, for murder pollutes the land. And no sacrifice except excuse me. I'm going to reread Numbers 35:33. This will ensure that the land where you live will not be polluted, for murder pollutes the land. And no sacrifice except the execution of the murder can purify the land from the murderer. Flip those. No sacrifice. Executing the murderer purifies the land of that murder. And as long as the murderer is alive, the land is dealing with the consequences of that murder. The land is dealing with the consequences of that murder. You must not defile the land where you live, for I live there myself. I am the Lord who lives among the people of Israel. Don't sully the land that I've given you as your promise, land in this covenant promise. You don't want to do it for yourselves, but also don't do it because I'm living with you. My holy presence is in that land. You defile the land and I have to go. I'm going to have to go. So keep your land purified by following these rules. I don't feel like cities of refuge is smart. It's not a traditional jailing system. But the murderer lives in confinement. The accidental murderer lives in confinement. And that in itself is a punishment, right? They're away from the people they know and love. They're away from their properties and belongings. They're away from all of these things. Yes, they get to live. Yes, they get to have a normal semblance of life. But also the place that they ran to for refuge, also they're aware that, oh, this person's here as a refuge, as a seeking asylum for a murder they accidentally committed. And then you have to wait for an undesignated amount of time. You don't even know how long you're going to be there for. Because, the high priest could die now, or he could die in 120 years. I mean, maybe not 120 years. He could die in 80 years. You never know how long the high priest is going to live for. Also, that sentence could be he could die now, or he could die in 3 days. Because you never know how long he's going to live for. And if that person decides that they don't want to stay in the city of refuge because of whatever reason, longing, homesickness, I don't know, longing for the treasures they have stored up at home. I don't know. Whatever reason they decide to leave the refuge city, right? But the high priest was still alive, then they can be killed at any time. Not anytime. Well, yeah, anytime. They can be killed whenever they meet the Avenger. And I guess it's harder to know. The other thing is like in that day and age, it's harder to know who is where and where is what. Like, to get news and information. So they could be making news. Who knows? Also, can this murderer, accidental murderer, travel from refuge city to refuge city? Like, I'm not that they're close, but there's 6 of them. So can they just like kind of hop through refuge city to refuge city? But either way, I think that's anyone who murders intentionally with intent or kills his enemy or they gotta be put to death, and that death needs to be done by the Avenger, and then the death of the murderer purifies the land of the murder. So then everything is in balance again, right? So that's a lawful murder. The unlawful murder that goes against the commandment was the murder that started this all, right? That started the trial. It would be the murder of like hitting someone with the stone or the iron or whatever. That would be punching them to death, Yeah, I like that. I mean, obviously, you hope that the murder. Well, see, the commandments are only known by the Israelites, and the fact that these cities of refuge are open to anyone. They're open. No, they're not open to anyone. The cities of refuge are open to Israelites, foreigners living as Israelites, and traveling merchants. So, like, you can't be a Moabite trying to seek refuge at one of these cities. That's probably a wrong. It was the only city that came to mind first. You can't be a non-Israelite or like no one who's like unless you're a traveling merchant. So it does kind of confine like who's living in these laws. Also, the 10 Commandments are given to just the Israelites. Like I know, like now, well, everyone's like, oh, 10 Commandments. Like, kind of have an understanding of what those 10 Commandments are, or know, have heard the words 10 Commandments. First, you gotta make it to the city, right? Well, no, the Avenger can't just go and avenge, right? Is there a There's a trial first before the Avenger has to avenge them, and they have to go through that whole process. There's a trial. There's a trial. The community must protect. Number 3524. If this should happen, the community must follow these regulations in making a judgment between the slayer and the avenger and the victim's the nearest relative. The community must protect the slayer from the avenger and must escort the slayer back to live in the city of refuge to which he fled. There he must remain until the death of him. Okay, so he had already fled. What happens if the avenger gets to the slayer before he makes it to the city of refuge? He doesn't get refuge, right? Because he didn't make it. Then on trace and kills another person. I'm gonna go on the assumption that there's some kind of trial because they said that someone can't be put to death without two witnesses on one witness alone. Numbers 36. Women who inherit. I gotta go back. If we go to Numbers 35:30, it says all murderers must be put to death, but only if evidence is presented, which means there's some kind of trial by more than one witness. No one may be put to death on the testimony of only one witness. Also, you must never accept a ransom payment for the life of someone judged guilty of murder and subject to execution. Murderers must always be put to death. Yeah. So that means there's a trial. Okay, moving on. Numbers 36. Women who inherit property. Then the heads of the clans of Gilead, descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, son of Joseph, came to Moses and the family leaders of Israel with a petition. They said, "Sir, the Lord instructed you to divide the land by sacred lot among the people of Israel. You were told..." What's a lot? Is this like a lottery? I think it's like a lottery. Items into lots for sale. Contents have already been lotted up. Allotment, plot area. Okay, allotment. Give them their sacred allotments. Got it. It's not up to chance. That doesn't make any sense. They came and they said this to Moses. He said, "Sir, the Lord instructed you to divide the land by sacred lot among the people of Israel. You were told by the Lord to give the grant of land owned by your brother Zelophehad Zelophehad to his daughters. You were told by the Lord to give the grant of land owned by our brother Zelophehad to his daughters. But if they marry men from another tribe, their grants of lands will go with them to the tribe into which they marry. In this way, the total area of our tribal lands will be reduced. Then, when the year Jubilee comes, their portion of land will be added to that of the new tribe, causing it to be lost forever to our ancestral tribe. So Moses gave the Israelites this command from the Lord. The claim of the men of the tribe of Joseph is legitimate. This is what the Lord commands concerning the daughters of Zelophehad. Let them marry anyone they like, as long as it is within their own ancestral tribe. None of the territorial land must pass from tribe to tribe, for all the land given to each tribe must remain within the tribe of which it was first allotted. The daughters throughout the tribes of Israel who are in line to inherit property must marry within their tribe, so that all the Israelites will keep their ancestral property. No grant of land must pass from one tribe to another. Each tribe of Israel must keep its allotted portion of land. The daughters of Zephalahed did as the Lord commanded Moses. Mahlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, and Michal and Noah all married cousins on their father's side. They married into the clans of Manasseh, son of Joseph. Thus, their inheritance of land remained within their ancestral tribe. These are the commands and regulations that the Lord gave to the people of Israel through Moses while they were camped on the plains of Moab, besides the Jordan River across from the Jericho. That makes sense. It makes sense. They didn't want their allotment of land. But the only thing that kind of strikes me, right, is that each tribe must keep their allotment of land. What if one tribe grows while the other tribe shrinks? What if a tribe that started off big gets smaller? Or vice versa? What if a small tribe grows in number and needs more land? I guess no one brought that to the Lord's attention, but how would you handle that going forward? Because I assume there's some sort of ebb and flow to the size of these tribes as they go down the road, Psalms 52. For the choir director, a psalm of David regarding the time Dog, the Edomite, said to Saul, David has gone to see Ahimelech. Is this the same Ahimelech? Like the same one? Why do you boast about your crimes, great warrior? Don't you realize God's justice continues forever? All day long you plot destruction. Your tongue cuts like a sharp razor, and you're an expert at telling lies. You love evil more than good and lies more than truth. You love to destroy others with your words, like you liar. But God will strike you down once and for all, and pull you from your home and uproot you from your land of the living. The righteous will see it and be amazed. They will laugh and say, Look what happens to the mighty warriors who do not trust in God. They trust their wealth instead and grow more and more bold in their wickedness. But I am like an olive tree, thriving in the house of God. I will always trust in God's unfailing love. I will praise you forever, O God, for what you have done. I will trust in your good name in the presence of your faithful people. See, where's the one? No. Yeah. Psalms 52:7. Look what happens to mighty warriors who do not trust in God. They trust in their wealth and in wealth instead, and grow more and more bold in their wickedness. I think that's the part that's trapping sometimes. That's so like alluring from time to time, is that you look over and you're like, dang, they're doing what they want and they got what they want, and they like, you know, they look like they're living the good life, but I know it's faithless. I know what they're doing isn't from like in God's will. I know it, but like they're growing more like, look, I got it. I did it for my own. I got it. And you're just like, I want it. Like, but I want it from God. I don't want it from nobody else. Like, and so you just gotta sit there and you will wait, because they're over there acting bold, like this is gonna, like it's permanent for them, you know. But they're rooted. You see the flowers, but don't see the root system. You ever pull out a tree, like not a tree, a plant, which I gotta water, and you see rotten roots? It's like I don't want to just admire the beauty of it. Like, oh, that looks beautiful. That's what's the enticing part. It looks beautiful, and if you're not in the right wisdom, and if you're not in the right discernment, you don't see that that's how deadly it is, how unnourished the soil is, how rotten the roots are. And you're just amazed by the beauty of the flowers. I don't want rotten roots, though. So I will stand here and I will work on my root system more than I work on the flowers that bud out of me. I will do that. I don't need to peacock for nobody. I don't need. I'm working on the roots. Like, let's make sure they are strong. Let's make sure they are thick. Let's make sure they go down, 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 deep into the ground like a 1,000-year-old tree. Let's make sure we are rooted. Okay. Rooted. Lord. Lord, as we proceed through the day, as we proceed through our journey, as we proceed through life, as we seek you and find you and go through the craziness, making our choices day to day, as you grant us wisdom to find you, as you grant us wisdom while we look for you. Help us remain rest assured that what we're doing and getting rooted in your word, rooted by your river of living waters, rooted in you. That we are like an olive tree, standing strong in the Lord. Give us the wisdom and the discernment that we need to not be beguiled by the entertainments, by the flashy materialistic items, by big shelters, fast fashion, fast whatever that's meant to entice us. And remove all of the nutrients from the soil in which we need to grow from you. Is meant to remove us from you. May we stay focused. Stay focused on collecting our riches in heaven. May we stay focused focus on remaining upright in you, because when the storm comes, I am weak to stand on my own. But when the storm comes, I can be held up by your hands, rooted. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. Yeah, the first song always makes sense. I don't know. But sometimes I don't got the words. My spirit is doing the thing, is doing the talking. So we're just gonna assume that my spirit had the full translation properly and was like, God, this is what she meant for real. Because all I could say was rooted. Have a good day, y'all. Yeah. Enjoy yourselves. I don't know if the weather's nice or not. No, it's not. That's not. It's sunny, but it's not nice. Have a good day. Enjoy all of the hours until tomorrow. Okay. And we can do this again. I'll see y'all later. Be safe out in them streets. Bye.